Part 1. The Hook. The massive doors of the United Nations chamber creaked open. An elderly Earth diplomat walked slowly toward the central table, his weathered hands carefully carrying a simple cardboard box. The alien ambassador's golden face twisted into a sneer, another pathetic attempt by humans to delay their inevitable submission to the Galactic Empire. "Your time is up," the ambassador's metallic voice echoed through the chamber. "Present your tribute, or we will take what we want by force." His cybernetic eyes glowed with disdain as he gestured to the holographic display showing the Empire's vast fleet hovering above Earth's major cities. The old diplomat placed the box on the table with steady hands. A hint of a smile played at the corners of his mouth. Around him, the other human representatives sat in complete silence, their faces a mix of anxiety and barely contained anticipation. "This is Earth's tribute to the mighty Galactic Empire," the diplomat announced, his voice clear and unwavering. "Inside this box is the most precious resource our world has to offer." The ambassador's golden face shifted from smug superiority to confusion as the old man began to open the lid. In all his centuries of collecting tributes from 1,000 worlds, he had never encountered such a plain container. Surely these primitives understood the gravity of this moment? Then the diplomat lifted the lid completely, and for the first time in the history of the Galactic Empire, an ambassador's face showed pure, unbridled horror. What humanity had placed in that simple cardboard box would shake the foundations of an empire that spanned galaxies. Sometimes the most powerful weapons aren't weapons at all, and the greatest strength can come in the most unassuming package. The elderly diplomat's smile grew wider. He knew that what happened next would change not just Earth's fate, but the destiny of every world under the Empire's control. The answer to tyranny had been in humanity's hands all along, they just needed the right moment to reveal it. Part 2. First Contact. It had all started 3 months ago on what should have been an ordinary Tuesday morning. The skies above every major city on Earth suddenly darkened as massive ships materialized in perfect formation. Their sleek, crystalline surfaces seemed to absorb sunlight rather than reflect it, creating an artificial twilight across the globe. The world held its breath, waiting for either destruction or salvation. Instead, they got a message, one that was simultaneously broadcast on every screen and speaker on the planet. The golden-faced ambassador appeared, his artificial voice translating into all Earth languages simultaneously. "We are the Galactic Empire," he had announced with practiced grandeur. "We have ruled the known universe for 10,000 years. Every civilized world pays tribute to our glory with their most precious resource. Earth will now join our empire willingly or by force." What followed was a display of power meant to humble humanity. The ambassador showed holographic images of their vast collection, crystalline structures that sang with the voice of stars from the Centauri system, living metal from the forges of Proxima that could think and reshape itself, even the dreams of gas giants captured in bottles. "You have 30 days to decide what tribute you will offer," the ambassador had declared. "Choose wisely. It must be unique, precious, and worthy of the Empire's collection." The world's leaders gathered in emergency sessions. Scientists proposed our most advanced technologies, but they were laughably primitive compared to the Empire's capabilities. Artists suggested our greatest masterpieces, but the Empire had seen wonders that made our finest work seem like child scribbles. As the days passed, panic began to spread. What could Earth possibly offer to an empire that had everything? Military leaders pushed for resistance, but the Empire's casual demonstration of power, casually moving the moon a few thousand miles and then returning it to its proper orbit, had made it clear that fight wasn't an option. It was during one of these desperate meetings that an old retired schoolteacher had raised her hand and asked a simple question that made everyone stop and think. "In all those wonderful treasures they showed us," she had said quietly, "did anyone notice what was missing?" That question led to a realization that would change everything. The Empire had shown them power, technology, and wonders beyond imagination. But in all their vast collection, there was one thing conspicuously absent, something so common on Earth that people had almost forgotten its true value. As the deadline approached, a plan began to form. It was either the most brilliant strategy in human history or the most foolish. Either way, it was the only chance Earth had. Part 3, The Empire's Power. The Empire made sure Earth understood exactly what they were dealing with. Every day, they displayed a new wonder from their collection in the skies above Earth's cities. It was part celebration, part intimidation, a grand museum exhibit designed to showcase their absolute dominance over the galaxy. Above New York, they displayed the living rainbows of Andromeda, creatures of pure light that danced between buildings. Over Tokyo, they released the singing crystals of the Pleiades, filling the air with harmonies that made humans weep from their beauty. London's sky held the floating gardens of Proxima Centauri, where plants made of starlight bloomed and wilted in endless cycles. The golden-faced ambassador conducted tours for Earth's leaders through their mother ship's trophy rooms. Each chamber held treasures that defied understanding. There were bottles containing the preserved thoughts of ancient alien philosophers, sculptures made from the frozen time of dying stars, and paintings created from the captured auroras of 1,000 worlds. Every civilization has something unique to offer, the ambassador explained, his metallic voice dripping with pride. The Deltans gave us their gravity-defying dances. The Centaurians offered their memory crystals. Even the primitive rock dwellers of Sirius contributed their stone songs. He turned his cybernetic eyes toward the human delegates. We look forward to seeing what Earth considers precious enough to join this collection. But an elderly veteran in the group noticed something odd during these tours. Despite all their power and knowledge, the Empire's representatives always followed the same patterns. They gave the same speeches, walked the same paths, and responded to questions with identical phrases. It was as if they were reading from a script that had worked perfectly for thousands of years. When one of the younger delegates asked why the Empire collected these tributes, the ambassador's response was revealing. "It is the natural order of things," he said automatically. "The strong collect, the weak contribute, and the galaxy maintains its perfect balance." But the Empire had never encountered humans before. They didn't realize that showing off their collection was giving Earth's people invaluable information. With each display of power, with each guided tour, humanity began to understand something crucial about their would-be conquerors. The Empire had spent so long being the strongest that they'd forgotten how to adapt. They were like a massive machine, perfect and precise, but unable to change its programming. And in that rigid perfection, Earth's leaders began to see a weakness, one that their unique human gift might be able to exploit. As the elderly veteran later said in a closed-door meeting, "They've shown us everything except the one thing that might save us, their ability to handle surprise." Part 4, Earth's Secret. It happened during an ordinary briefing session at the UN building. The retired schoolteacher, who had been invited as part of a civilian advisory panel, was watching another replay of the Empire's collection showcase. While everyone else focused on the spectacular alien treasures, she was studying the golden-faced ambassadors themselves. "Look at their eyes," she said softly, causing several world leaders to turn toward her. "They never show wonder anymore. They've seen so many marvels that nothing surprises them. When was the last time any of us saw them laugh?" The room fell silent. The observation was simple but profound. Despite their vast collection of the galaxy's treasures, the Empire's representatives never showed joy, curiosity, or wonder. They displayed their collection with pride, but never with love. A deeper analysis of the Empire's behavior revealed more. Their vast fleet, despite its power, always arranged itself in the same formations. Their speeches followed identical patterns. Even their threats were delivered with a mechanical precision that suggested they were reciting from an ancient script. The elderly veteran who had noticed their patterns during the tour brought out an old chessboard. "They're like a player who's won so many games they've stopped thinking about their moves," he explained, setting up the pieces. "They expect everything to follow the same rules they've known for thousands of years." That's when Earth's leaders began to understand what made humans different. While the Empire had spent millennia collecting the extraordinary, they had somehow missed the most precious resource of all, the ability to find wonder in ordinary things, to laugh at the unexpected, to change and adapt and imagine new possibilities. The schoolteacher picked up a simple pencil from the conference table. "We take these for granted," she said, "but think about it. Every time someone picks up a pencil, they could create something that's never existed before. A new story, a new idea, a new way of seeing the world. When was the last time the Empire created anything new?" Analysis of the Empire's vast collection confirmed it. They had gathered incredible artifacts from across the galaxy, but they hadn't added anything of their own. They preserved and displayed, but they had forgotten how to create. That's when the plan started to take shape. Earth's tribute wouldn't be something spectacular or technologically advanced. Instead, they would offer something so simple, so fundamentally human, that the Empire wouldn't know how to process it. As the schoolteacher put it, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is remind someone of what they've forgotten. The question was, would the Empire recognize what they had lost? And more importantly, what would happen when they did? Part 5: The Hidden Strength. The plan began quietly, in hundreds of thousands of homes across Earth. While the Empire's ships loomed overhead, expecting some grand technological tribute, humanity was gathering something far more precious: their stories. Not just any stories, but the ones that made them laugh, cry, and wonder. The tales grandparents told their grandchildren on quiet evenings. The jokes that could break tension in a room. The simple moments of joy that people remembered decades later. Each one was carefully written down, not by computers, but by hand, on ordinary paper. "They've forgotten how to be surprised," the schoolteacher explained during one of the planning sessions. "We'll remind them." She held up a child's crayon drawing of a family, simple stick figures filled with more love than any masterpiece in the Empire's collection. The elderly veteran contributed his own piece, a worn deck of playing cards he'd carried through 3 wars. "It's not about the cards," he explained to the younger officials. "It's about the hundreds of games invented by bored soldiers, each one different, each one new." When was the last time anyone in the Empire invented a new game? From nursing homes came crossword puzzles filled with clever wordplay. From community centers came recipe books passed down through generations, each dish modified and improved over time. Children submitted their made-up games, with rules that changed every time they played. The Empire's observers watched all this activity with growing confusion. Their scans detected no weapon buildups, no significant technological developments. Just millions of humans writing, drawing, and gathering what appeared to be worthless paper items. What the Empire couldn't understand was that Earth's real strength wasn't in its technology or resources. It was in the endless creativity of ordinary people, in their ability to find joy and wonder in the simplest things, in their capacity to adapt and change and create something new from nothing. The schoolteacher summed it up best: they collect treasures, but have forgotten how to treasure things. They preserve wonders, but have forgotten how to wonder. They have everything except the ability to appreciate what they have. As the deadline approached, Earth's tribute took shape, not in some grand technological display, but in a simple cardboard box filled with humanity's most precious gift: their endless capacity for creativity, joy, and wonder. The Empire, in all its power and glory, had no idea what was coming. They were about to receive something they hadn't encountered in 10,000 years, a genuine surprise. Part 6: The Preparation. As Earth's appointed day drew near, the contents of the cardboard box came together in a way that no supercomputer could have planned. The schoolteacher and veteran led a global effort to select items that seemed ordinary but carried extraordinary meaning. Inside went a grandfather's dog-eared joke book, its margins filled with handwritten notes about which jokes worked best for cheering up hospital patients. Next came a collection of paper airplanes, each design tested and improved by generations of schoolchildren during quiet moments in class. A retired baker contributed her recipe book, its pages stained with ingredients and memories, each recipe telling the story of how it evolved as it passed through different families and cultures. There was a set of dominoes that had started countless games, each played with different rules, invented on rainy afternoons. The Empire's golden-faced ambassadors watched with growing impatience as humans spent these precious final days, gathering what appeared to be worthless paper and simple objects. Their scans could detect no hidden technology, no secret weapons, no valuable resources. "Your time grows short," they announced daily. "Present a tribute worthy of the Empire's collection." Their voices carried the same programmed certainty they'd used on 1,000 worlds before. But they missed the subtle power of what was being gathered. Each item placed in the box represented something the Empire had lost: the ability to create something new, to find joy in simple things, to change and adapt and grow. An old comic book joined the collection, its pages worn from being passed between friends, each reader adding their own interpretations to the story. A handmade deck of cards carried the rules to games that existed nowhere else in the universe, invented during long winter nights. The veteran added one last item. A simple chess piece carved from wood during his darkest days, a reminder that even in the hardest times, humans could create beauty from nothing but imagination and hope. As they sealed the box, the schoolteacher smiled. "They expect something grand," she said, "but sometimes the most precious things are the ones we take for granted." The veteran nodded, understanding that what they had gathered wasn't just a collection of objects, it was proof of humanity's greatest strength. The Empire, with all its vast power and knowledge, had forgotten what it meant to create something new, to laugh at the unexpected, to find wonder in simple things. They were about to receive a reminder that would shake their perfectly ordered universe to its core. Part 7: The Presentation. In the United Nations chamber, the air grew thick with tension as the elderly diplomat began removing items from the cardboard box. The golden-faced ambassador's expression shifted from disdain to confusion as each simple object was placed on the table. First, the diplomat announced, a child's book of made-up stories. He held up a hand-bound collection of tales written and illustrated by elementary school students. "Every story in here has never been told before. Each one is unique in all the universe." The ambassador's cybernetic eyes flickered, a sign of processing error. In 10,000 years of collecting tributes, they had never encountered something that claimed to be entirely new. Next came the joke book. The diplomat read one simple joke aloud. Several human representatives chuckled, but the ambassador remained stone-faced. "I don't understand," his metallic voice wavered. "What is the purpose of these illogical word combinations?" "That's exactly the point," the diplomat replied, smiling. "Humor can't be perfectly logical. It requires imagination, surprise, the ability to think in new ways." He placed the recipe book on the table. Like these recipes, each one started as something traditional, but was changed, adapted, made new by countless people adding their own ideas. The ambassador's golden face began to show signs of distress. His programmed responses weren't equipped to handle this situation. "These are primitive paper artifacts," he declared, but his voice lacked its usual certainty. "They hold no value." "No value?" The diplomat held up the wooden chess piece. "This was carved by hand during humanity's darkest hours. It represents not just skill, but hope, creativity, the ability to make something beautiful even when everything seems lost." One by one, he presented each item, explaining not their material worth, but their meaning. Each one a testament to humanity's ability to create, adapt, and find joy in simple things. The ambassador's face now showed clear signs of malfunction. His perfect programming was encountering something it had never been designed to handle: genuine originality, unpredictability, the human capacity for endless creation and reinvention. "Your empire collects wonders," the diplomat concluded, "but we create them. Every day, in millions of ways, we imagine things that have never existed before. That is Earth's tribute, not these objects, but what they represent. The one thing your vast empire has forgotten how to do." The ambassador stared at the simple items spread before him, his golden face reflecting a confusion that would soon spread throughout the empire's perfect, unchanging hierarchy. Part 8: Empire's Dilemma. Word spread through the Empire's vast network of worlds like a virus they couldn't contain. The story of Earth's unusual tribute traveled from planet to planet, ship to ship, causing something the Empire had never experienced before: chaos. On the mother-ship orbiting Earth, the golden-faced ambassadors held emergency conferences. Their perfect protocols had no procedure for this situation. One ambassador picked up the child's handwritten storybook, attempting to analyze it. "But, how can every story be different?" he asked, his metallic voice showing strain. "There must be a pattern, a formula they follow." The retired schoolteacher, now part of Earth's diplomatic team, answered simply, "That's what imagination means, there are no formulas. Every child who writes a story creates something entirely new." Reports began flooding in from across the empire. On 1,000 worlds, the conquered species were asking dangerous questions. Why did they only preserve and never create? When was the last time anyone in the empire had invented something new? Had they traded their ability to imagine for perfect order? The empire's collection, once their greatest pride, suddenly seemed empty. They had gathered wonders from across the galaxy, but they had forgotten how to wonder. They preserved countless forms of art, but had forgotten how to create art of their own. A young alien on a distant world picked up a piece of paper and, for the first time in their species' history under Empire rule, drew something purely from imagination. The action spread like wildfire, beings across the galaxy beginning to remember abilities they had forgotten under centuries of rigid Empire control. The ambassador's golden face showed clear signs of distress as he watched recordings from various worlds. The Empire's perfect order was dissolving, replaced by something they couldn't control: creativity, imagination, the desire to make something new. "What have you done?" he demanded of Earth's representatives. "You're destroying everything we've built." His voice carried something never before heard in an Empire ambassador: fear. The elderly veteran replied calmly, "No, we're reminding you of what you lost. Your empire hasn't built anything new in thousands of years. You only collect and preserve. But that's not enough for any civilization to truly live." As the empire's hierarchy faced its first real crisis in 10,000 years, Earth's simple cardboard box had achieved what no weapon could. It had shown them the emptiness at the heart of their perfect, unchanging universe. Part 9: Victory Through Wisdom. On a bright morning 3 weeks after Earth's tribute, the Empire's ships began to leave, not in defeat, but in transformation. The golden-faced ambassador made his final appearance before the United Nations, his face showing something new: humility. "For 10,000 years, he said, his metallic voice softer than before, we believed power meant collecting the wonders of the universe. We forgot that the greatest wonder is the ability to create new ones." He held up the child's storybook from Earth's tribute. "This taught us what we had lost." Across the galaxy, the Empire was changing. Their vast collection was being returned to its worlds of origin, but with a difference. Now they sought to learn from each civilization, not just take from them. The Empire's ships became carriers of ideas and creativity rather than just displays of power. The elderly diplomat who had presented Earth's tribute stood at the UN building's window, watching the massive ships depart. The schoolteacher joined him, holding the now famous cardboard box. "Who would have thought," she said, smiling, "that the greatest power in the universe would be our ability to imagine?" The veteran added the final touch to the story: a new chess piece he'd carved, showing human and alien figures working together. "Sometimes," he said, "victory doesn't mean defeating your enemy. Sometimes it means helping them remember who they used to be." Earth had given the galaxy something more valuable than any technology or resource. They had reminded a mighty empire that true strength lies not in collecting the extraordinary, but in the ability to see the extraordinary in ordinary things. The gift of creativity, of finding wonder in simple moments, of never stopping to imagine and create, had proved more powerful than any weapon. As the last ship disappeared into the stars, humanity had learned its own lesson. Their greatest strength wasn't in mighty armies or advanced technology, but in their endless capacity to create, to adapt, to find joy in simple things, and to share that joy with others. The Empire had demanded Earth's tribute, expecting to add another wonder to their collection. Instead, they received something far more precious: the reminder that the greatest wonders are not those we preserve in museums, but those we create every day through imagination, joy, and the courage to try something new. And somewhere in the vast reaches of space, a golden-faced ambassador opened a simple joke book, and for the first time in 10,000 years, learned to laugh.